Hi, my name is Claude Kershner, and I'm going to share a research study that I performed this past summer in a DBA, Doctoral of Business Administration program with Florida International University. The name of the proposal is called Leaders Can Increase Effective Commitment in Subordinates Through Emotional Intelligence Competencies. And I'm going to walk through some of these constructs and some of the aspects of the study. So the research question, what I was investigating is, does the emotional intelligence of a leader mediated by the leader member exchange, we'll talk about that, influence the effective commitment of that leader's subordinates? So here is my model, and I'll talk through each of these constructs in my model. Leader self-assessment of emotional intelligence. Essentially, emotional intelligence, defined by the book standard, is defined as the set of skills that contribute to accurate self-appraisal of emotion, as well as the detection of emotional cues in others and the use of feelings to motivate and achieve in one's life. So I like to simply put it in terms of four different ways to look at it: self awareness and social awareness. Self awareness, what's going on within me, and social awareness, what's going on within others. And then the other two are self management. How do I regulate my own emotions and understand how to channel them constructively? And then also relationship management. How do I talk to other people based on my ability to socially assess them? So that's what emotional intelligence is. In this particular study, we didn't measure it, but I'll talk about that in a second. But the independent variable in the study is emotional intelligence, and the dependent variable is effective commitment. So let's talk about the subordinates' perceived ethical and empowering leadership. Essentially, what I'm saying is that emotional intelligence mediated by leader member exchange, which leader member exchange is the quality of exchange that a leader has with their subordinates. It could either be high quality or low quality. Obviously, a person with high emotional intelligence should engage in a constructive manner with their subordinates, and that should increase a staff member's effective commitment. So I'm going to talk about effective commitment for a second. It's defined as an employee's emotional and effective attachment to, identification with, involvement in, and enjoyable membership in the employing organization. So effective commitment is one of three aspects of organizational commitment, which is a staff member's commitment to the organization as a whole. And it consists of normative commitment, continuous commitment, and what we're studying here as effective commitment. I like to think of effective commitment as loyalty. It's the most novel, it's the most understudied, and it also has, I believe, the emotional intelligence of a leader could very well influence it well, or influence it greatly. And I wanted to study that concept. So this thing called a mediator, leader member exchange, also a major construct in this study. Leader member exchange, as I defined earlier, is more formally defined as a theory describes a dyadic process through which roles and expectations are developed with each subordinate. So my hypothesis, what I'm hypothesizing, is that the emotional intelligence of a leader will, through leader member exchange, will impact or influence the effective commitment of their subordinates. And then these constructs up here, first I'll talk about the controls. Essentially, when we measure emotional intelligence, we're going to control, essentially remove out these variables so that we can isolate emotional intelligence. That's work experience, educational level, job position, and age. And then also for subordinate, perceived ethical and empowering leadership. Ethical leadership and empowering leadership, I'm saying, increases the relationship and increases the amount that a leader's emotional intelligence, the impact it can have on a subordinate's effective commitment. So those two definitions are more formally defined as ethical leadership is defined as a demonstration of normatively appropriate conduct through personal actions and interpersonal relationships, and the promotion of such conduct to followers through two-way communication, reinforcement, and decision making. So that's ethical leadership. And empowering leadership can be defined as behaviors whereby power is shared with subordinates that helps raise their level of intrinsic motivation. And then also we'll talk about job control of subordinates. Job control may be defined as the latitude to make decisions and the freedom to select the most appropriate skills to complete the task. Another more recent definition is having influence over the work environment, including ability to influence the execution and the planning of work tasks. So, intuitively, this model should make sense. You have a leader that has high emotional intelligence, they're high on ethical and empowering leadership, they're ethically leading ethically, and they're also empowering their subordinates. They engage in a high quality way with their staff, and their staff has control over their job. Therefore, the staff members should have a higher level of organizational commitment, but more specifically, effective commitment with the organization, which again is defined as the employee's emotional or effective attachment to, identification with, and involvement in the enjoyable membership in the employing organization. So let's see how this study turned out. So here's what I did. I conducted an informed pilot, a convenience sample, and on Amazon Mechanical Turk, recruited some subjects for the study. I received 87 surveys. I recruited 87 subjects, but 71 responses came in. And in order to keep for the analysis, I actually kept 47 of them. So I had 47 participants in this particular study. And the outcomes of this study, again, only I did not measure a leader emotional intelligence. The concept of the summer research proposal was really to validate an instrument, to a survey instrument, and I was able to do that here with these, with effective commitment being the dependent variable, and then these four independent variables in ethical leadership, empowering leadership, leader member exchange, and job control. So it turns out, in conclusion, that there are clear correlations, and there is a statistically demonstrated, what we would call a statistically significant relationship with these these four independent variables and their impact on effective commitment. So statistically significant and definitely true according to this particular study. I can talk more about the statistics another time, but there is a clear correlation with all independent variables to the dependent variable of effective commitment. The highest of those is ethical. So the more ethical a leader is, the higher the effective commitment of the subordinates. And then empowering leadership was another one at 0.648. And so there you have it. That was my first summer research study. That's my first model, and that's my first pilot, and also a description of what I did. And hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it was educational. And I definitely encourage you to study these constructs so that your leadership will be better and that your staff members will be more loyal and more effectively committed to the organization. Be back another time as I throw the construct of emotional intelligence in there. Then we can have a real fun time talking about leaders that are low or high on emotional intelligence and how that works within the model to impact effective commitment. Peace and love.